she shall be called the city of prayer. Prayer city.
Quick question before we start. What do you do when you go for a prayer meeting, right? And rather than pray, you end up singing for 3.5 hours. And the whole room, including yourself, is struggling to pray for more than 3.5 minutes. Anyways, welcome to the Prayer City podcast. Yes, another Christian podcast, because London definitely needs one more opinion and a couple more microphones, as if it doesn't have enough of those already. Look, we didn't start this podcast because we want to trend. We started it because we're tired. We're literally tired of prayer meetings without prayer happening. We're also tired of prayer meetings looking like an average London Christian gig with like a Christian, massive Christian twist to it. Stop it, Charles. I can literally hear my wife saying, "That's a bit too salty, Charles." To which I say my apologies, right? But I am tired of the cool church. I'm tired of the cool church. Who took the cross out of the church and put the cool in? Because that person did a really, really good job. Or are you not also tired of like lukewarm prayer nights with lukewarm biscuits and mid coffee and everyone singing louder and louder and louder? Make the worship louder. Keep us jumping. It's not so bad if it's a prayer meeting and we don't actually pray. We sang and we jumped, and singing and jumping is fun. The only challenge with that is we have not come for a workout session or some aerobics. We've actually come to pray, and we're wondering, when is that actually going to start? Oh man, we're not here for a prayer warm-up act, friends. We want a culture of prayer. We want a praying people multiplied across the UK from London to the ends of the overground. Today, if you haven't already gathered, we're talking about prayer meetings and why they frustrate us. Yes, I said it. The thing that nobody wants to admit out loud. Because maybe prayer isn't the problem. Maybe it's what we've turned prayer into. So buckle up, take a deep breath, hide your church flyers. I'm joking. I'm only half joking. We're about to talk about the stuff that your group chat whispers about in quiet places. Do you ever stop and ask yourself, why am I going to my 4th prayer meeting this week when I'm out here literally struggling to pray on my own for more than 4 whole minutes? Like, why am I RSVPing to the next prayer event / intercession night with my full chest when it comes to me and Jesus, I'm simply tired, lazy, or I don't know, the Holy Spirit's told me to take a nap? Think about it. London has more prayer meetings than coffee shops. And that's saying a lot because London does have a lot of coffee shops. I think there's a Costa in every corner or something like that. And so, yeah, like I've said a lot of jokes and, you know, I've teased around the concept, but I'm actually not joking. Jesus takes prayer seriously, and so should we. And so I'm praying that our prayer gatherings not only go viral and give us some kind of accolades for successful ministry. No, if that's all we're doing, then that's just really sad. We're not trying to be the Coachella of prayer meetings. No, we want something way bigger than Coachella, actually. We want to see a praying people multiplied. We don't just want to see prayer meetings going viral. We want to see private places of prayer informing public spaces of encounter, a people who outside of church walls are turning London into a prayer city. Because listen, like, I love gathering people to pray. A few weeks ago, a couple friends and myself gathered a few hundreds of people to do a prayer conference, and it was fire. It was really good. So I've got nothing against prayer nights, but God doesn't want the room full of people who like the idea of praying. He wants the room full of praying people who actually pray. He wants a people who invade whole territories, neighborhoods with contending prayer. Not for Instagram, not for TikTok, not for someone's watching me and the camera is getting closer, so I'm going to act like this is a deep moment. Am I being too much here? Am I being too honest? Just type it in the chat if I am, and I'll probably ignore you. I'm joking, I wouldn't. I'm only half joking. But I have to ask, no, I think we have to ask, actually. Why is it that our prayer gatherings are now going viral, but the private closets of prayer are getting emptier and going missing? Our private places of prayer are like socks in the laundry. You know they existed at one point in ancient antiquity, but you don't know where they've gone now. Churches know every detail about the next prayer conference, the speakers, the theme, the young people who've bought the merch, the early bird discounted tickets that have now sold out, the the prayer rooms. And yet, while all of this is going on, we have a massive deficit in the prayer culture. How is it that our loud public prayer gatherings aren't shaping hidden people of prayer behind closed doors? Something is wrong somewhere. Something is wrong somewhere. And here's the uncomfortable question, right? If God copied and pasted your personal prayer life across the UK, like if you did that thing where you do on your computer where you like copy, paste, you know the thing, I don't have to explain it too much. If he copied and pasted your prayer life across the UK, would there be a revival? Like genuinely, would we see a shift in the prayer culture in the UK? Or would the UK take a spiritual nap off the back of that? Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not judging your prayer life. I'm just inviting all of us to investigate our hunger again. Do we want a move of God or do we want church growth? Because those two things are not the same thing. And I know someone's already saying, but Charles, church growth and a move of God aren't mutually exclusive. Absolutely true. Thank you, C.S. Lewis. But here's the thing. You could have church growth and not pray. But you can't have a massive move of God. You can't have a rushing move of God without prayer. Without a life abandoned to prayer. And guess what? We've got theologians everywhere. We've got prayer meetings everywhere. Don't show us your certificate anymore. We want to see your surrender. Don't show us a sound theological argument. We want to see a life surrendered to prayer. You know what I find refreshingly hilarious? Yeah. The average London Christian is a walking, talking, breathing TikTok theologian anyway. And I'm not even mad at that because, is what it is. But honestly, social media now preaches better sermons than half of our most gifted preachers. But here's the twist, right? TikTok can teach you about prayer, but it can't pray for you because you don't become a person of prayer by watching reels on Instagram. You only pray by praying, and therefore you become a person of prayer by actually praying. Even the disciples asked Jesus to teach them only one thing, not to walk on water or to multiply bread. That would have been cool though. They said, teach us to pray. Let me say something slightly controversial, but true. ChatGPT has better theology than most of our gifted speakers. Like ChatGPT will write a 14-minute sermon, Greek, Hebrew, tables, diagram, bibliography, all the works. And that's facts on facts. Yet, if good theology alone could bring revival, London will be leading a global move of God right now. Jesus didn't bring the kingdom just to give us bright theological ideas. Now, let me get slightly personal. On the 25th of May, 2024, I had an encounter with Jesus that gave me a prayer burden, right? It started as a 1-week fast, 1 meal a day, very simple. I was going to do it for 7 days. Look, friends, it's been a year and a half of fasting and praying. 80% of that time. Year and a half, fasting and praying. Now, I don't say that to glorify myself. Hopefully, you don't look at me and think, whoa, that's sick. No. And if I did say that to glorify myself, oh, Lord, purify my heart. But the point isn't actually my hunger. No. The point is that I want you to hear that and think, Lord, I want a ravenous appetite for your glory. One that doesn't look like Charles's. One that looks like Jesus' hunger for the Father. A verse that used to confuse me a lot, it still does sometimes, Exodus 33:18, where we have Moses saying, now, Lord, show me your glory. Look, Moses had seen miracles that make our modern day miracles look like party tricks. And he said, show me more. That's hunger. That's real longing right there. And I want that type of hunger. I want that type of hunger for myself, for my generation, for my city. Let me slow down and tell you something that sounds a bit dramatic, but again, it's actually just true. Did you know that to pray is to become alive? Not like, oh, I had a good coffee, kind of alive. No, eyes open, so switched on, spirit literally alive. Because when you pray, you become conscious of the life of God that is on your inside. And consciousness is the proof of life, right? Like if you were not aware, you're either asleep or in need of medical attention quickly. So my friend once asked me, he's like, how would you define prayer to a 13-year-old, Charles? Go for it. I'm like, great. That's a very easy question. No, it's not. It's terribly hard. And it took me a while to come up with this. And I think prayer is becoming aware of a God who is fully aware of you. It's like that moment where you're caught in a stare and you're snapping back into reality when someone calls your name. Prayer is to your spirit what oxygen is to your heart. And I've never heard someone say, I've wasted my day breathing today. I've wasted my entire day breathing. Tomorrow, I'm not going to breathe until, well, I'll breathe until like 12 noon and then I'll go over to do something more productive. No one says that. But that's exactly how we sound when we say, I've prayed. Now let's go do the work. Let's go do the work. The work. What does that even mean? Prayer is the work. It's the work before the work. It's the work within the work. It's the work beyond the work, like the work after the work. Jesus didn't wing this life when he lived it. He didn't wake up like, oh, I wonder what we're going to do today. Multiply some carbs or walk on water. Let's see. No, he was intentional. He said, I only do what I see the Father doing. Friends, this was not a casual flex. No. This was a son whose lungs was filled with the atmosphere of unbroken communion with the Father. He inhaled the Father's heart, and every exhale became the miracles that we now read about. And that's why saying, oh, I've prayed, now let's do something more productive, or let's do something productive, sounds like saying I've breathed. Now I don't need oxygen anymore. Who needs my oxygen? No one says that. No one talks like that unless you need a nap or you need help. And so if prayer is oxygen, then some of us might have been out here trying to live this life with 2 breaths and a hope. And you're wondering why you're spiritually wheezing. I can hear my wife saying, Charles, you need to tone it down. You sound mad. Today, the invitation is simple, friends. Don't treat prayer like a chore or outsource it to another prayer gig. Take it like breathing. Before you do anything else, breathe in God. All right, family, we're going to land it there because this is the first one. I just want to make sure that you take in as much as you can. Friends, do something remarkably edgy today, for example. Set an alarm on your phone to actually pray. Do it. I know it's crazy. I know it's pushing it, Charles. Setting an alarm is just too much. I don't know if I can do it. But set an alarm on your phone. Set an alarm on your phone that you think and you believe deep down in your heart is a covenant time between you and God. And see what happens. Again, what's that thing YouTubers say? Like, subscribe, follow us and all our Instagram handles. This is the very first episode of Prayer City podcast. I hope you've watched it. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you love it. I hope you share it. Until next time, God bless.